Have you ever considered investing in a car wash or a laundromat? Then maybe this video is for you. This is a 8-bay self-serve car wash with one automatic that I purchased last year and renovated. I paid $425,000 for this property and put another $140,000 into the renovation, and it's actually doing quite well. It was pretty run down, needed a lot of work, and I went in and tore a lot of the old stuff out and gave it a really good new facelift. And since then, things have been amazing. When I purchased the property, the owner was charging $1 for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And so before I purchased it, I drove around all the car washes in my area and I found out what they were charging, which turned out to be $2 for 3 minutes. So immediately upon purchasing this, I knew that I actually had about a 33% upside by just increasing the prices. So if you're looking at businesses to purchase like laundromats and car washes, you want to find properties that have a value add component to them. So not only would I be able to increase the price for the customers or increase the price that the customers would pay, I'd also be able to renovate this property and gain some of the customers back that had been lost due to just the previous owner not taking care of it and looking dilapidated, run down. I mean, the previous owner didn't even keep the lights on at night under the vacuum bays in the back, which nobody wants to come to a car wash if there's no lighting. You know, there are people that wash their car at night, and so you're losing some customers by doing that, which was, part of my calculation in determining if I wanted to purchase this place or not. When it comes to car washes, one of the things that you could look at is also your average daily traffic on the road that that car wash is situated on. So that's another thing that I researched. That's another thing that you want to look into. How many cars are traveling in front of this property every single day? And there's kind of a loose calculation that you can do to determine if you think that this is going to make money. So whenever I did my calculations, I think the average traffic was like 16,000 people a day. Then I took that number, and I can't remember what the calculation is, but whatever percent it was, at $7 spent per customer, how much money am I going to make? And you can kind of get a rough estimate. But if you want to get even deeper, you can actually go to the property and just start counting cars, which is kind of what I did. I drove by this property for about 3 months because the owner was being very coy about how much money he made, and I didn't necessarily believe him. But then I started going to the property every single day. I have properties in the area, all my rentals in the area, so I went and I started driving by this property 3-4 times a day. Every time I drive by here, there'd be 3 or 4 cars here. Sometimes busier more than others, but I determined that the owner was being somewhat honest with me, as much as he could anyways, because a lot of times what you'll find is these owners don't really keep track of their income because they're just trying to avoid the taxes. So there are some things to consider when purchasing a car wash. Another thing from my perspective that I don't do is I don't not report any of my income. See, this is new to me. I've only owned this for about a year, and I'm not really sure how long I want to do this. So what I'm doing is keeping track of my expenses every single day, every single month, every single week, the whole year. That way, when I go to sell it, the buyer is going to know exactly how much money this made, because car washes are typically valued based on their gross revenue. So if this makes $200,000 a year, it could be valued anywhere between $600,000 and $1 million. In my market, they are selling for about 4 to 5 times the gross multiple. So what that means is if I purchase this place and I get the gross revenue up to $250,000, it could potentially be worth $1 million. And that's something that is going to allow me to have an exit strategy on this. Although I do like the cash flow, this property is cash flowing, it is a lot of work every single month, every single day to come up here and clean up. There's a lot of trash, there's a lot of things that are broken, there's a lot of things that you have to do when you're a car wash owner, and it's not passive by any means. So if I ever want to exit this, I want to be able to present my income to the next potential owner and say, hey, look, this is what it made. And that's just something else to consider whenever you're purchasing a car wash. Are you purchasing it for some long-term thing just to have a little extra cash flow, or are you purchasing it to get the revenue up and then sell it and then move on to something else? Take that money and put it into something else.
Car washes are great investments if you have the time and mindset of being actively involved. I'm not saying there aren't ways to make investing in car washes a fully passive investment, but let's be honest, are you going to trust someone else to come collect cash and coin? You say, well, how about making it completely cashless and going to credit cards? Sure, you can do that, but think about all the cash you're leaving on the table from customers that just want to come spend that extra $5 to $10 in quarters or cash that they've got hanging out in their car. It might work in a more affluent area, but I'd still be willing to bet you'd be losing a large portion of revenue by going strictly cashless. So now, if you've gotten over the idea of having to be there every day or at least every couple days to collect the cash, now we need to think about being there to clean up and empty trash. There are always going to be customers that unfortunately will just leave you a mess, whether it be trash dumped on the ground or a muddy bay from a 4x4 they didn't care to clean up after. There will be something needing to be cleaned every single day. If there's one thing you can do to have a successful car wash, it is to have a clean and well-lit place for your customers to appreciate. I personally pay a helper about $700 a month to do the bulk of the cleaning, once, sometimes twice a day. Luckily for me, my revenue allows for me to have that extra expense, which frees me up to do other things around the car wash, like making minor repairs. Now, if you've made it this far and you're still interested, let's talk revenue. When I purchased this rundown wash that was also charging about $1 under market rate, it was grossing about $96,000 a year. Now, after almost a year and a $130,000 to $140,000 renovation, I'm on track to gross $250,000, all while having the mortgage of a $100,000 a year car wash. That is why I preach buying washes that are run down and have value-add components to them. This wash is grossing, on average so far this year, $24,000 a month, and the expenses are $7,000 to $10,000 a month, depending on how busy it is.
Getting heavy.
Meaning my net profit is over $10,000 a month. Again, all while having the mortgage of basically a $100,000 a year wash. For me, knowing there is such a big reward each month makes the non-passive, hands-on idea of owning a car wash a simple choice. I am willing to work much harder for more reward every single time.
So that didn't look like a lot of cash in the bays. Remember, there are 8 bays, so some get used more than others, and it doesn't always look like a lot of money. But I also have tokens. That's why you saw 2 different coins in here. So tokens and quarters. Those are the only things I accept. It makes it easier for me to, and every once in a while they'll squeak a dollar coin by, but I don't have it programmed to accept those because it makes it harder to separate everything the more types of coin you accept, and not a lot of people have those dollar coins anyways. But mainly where the main lot of cash comes from is my bill changer. We're about empty, and that is why I am actually collecting a day in advance, because I need to replenish my tokens so they don't go out because it's a Saturday. But this, as you can tell, is where the bulk of the cash gets dispensed. Hell, I can't even get it out. I don't normally let this thing get this full. because it's hard to get out. But that is a pretty good chunk of change. And my second token changer here has a little bit in it sometimes, but it doesn't get used as much because it's not the first one people see whenever they walk up here. She's getting pretty low too, as you can tell. Doesn't get used as much as the other one. But this car wash has been doing very, very well, much better than I anticipated. Completely redid everything in here and got everything where it's not breaking all the time. I don't have to spend a lot of time doing anything other than basically just cleaning up around the property. Every once in a while you'll get, a wand broke or a brush head needs replaced. Sometimes solenoids will get stuck open on these low pressure panels. Low pressure panels are your triple foam, my pre-soak, my tire cleaner, and my foam brush. Sometimes those solenoids get stuck open or get clogged up. You've got to clean those. And replenishing the soap, constantly having to replenish the soap, which is a good thing because that means that you're busy. The soap's getting used, you're making money. But anyways, if you're interested in a cash business like a laundromat or a car wash, hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight into what it's like. You got any questions, leave it in the comments down below. This isn't my normal typical video, which I haven't made videos for a long time, but usually it was about real estate, which is my main source of income. And I just started looking for other avenues to make money because real estate is very difficult right now to make any kind of cash flow. And I'm not going to buy something if it doesn't cash flow. I don't want to buy for appreciation. I don't want to lose money every month. So I started looking at other things I could make money in. And in my market, car washes seem to be a better option than laundromats simply because there's not a lot of standalone buildings that come with a real estate and a laundromat. So in other words, you don't get the real estate and the business, the laundromat, together. Usually they're leased out in my market. They're going to be in some shopping center and you're paying, you're leasing them, which I didn't want to do. I wanted to actually own the property as well, which also helped with bank financing. I didn't get an SBA loan for this. I got traditional commercial loan financing, for this property, which made it a little bit easier because the bank looks at it like they do have something to fall back on, and it didn't have to be this SBA loan that was also going to take forever to get and be more complicated with a shorter term, mind you. I got I believe a 3-year, 20-year amortization, so 3-year fixed, 20-year amortization on this loan, which actually means my payments are a little bit lower than I think they would be for an SBA loan, which, if I'm not mistaken, is normally about a 10-year term. But anyways, you got any questions, comments, anything you'd like to know about real estate investing or car washes, I can do my best to answer for you. I've been a real estate investor for about 15 years, and I've been a car wash owner for going on a year, and I've learned a lot. I completely stripped this down and renovated it, so I learned a thing or two. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you on the next video.